In the year 2030, mankind finally went back to the moon. Looking back, it would have been better to leave the moon alone. The launch was historic. Years of preparation had led to this moment. The countdown echoed across the globe, every second reverberating in millions of hearts. 1 billion people, maybe more, tuned in to watch. When the engines roared and the rocket rose into the sky, the world cheered. A 4-day journey lay ahead, its goal clear. Establish a temporary base and lay the foundation for a permanent moon colony. Mission Control monitored everything. Every trajectory, every whisper of static in the comms, every spike in telemetry. But all went well. When the lunar lander touched down in the Sea of Tranquility, the planet held its breath. Then came the applause, the celebrations, the images of footprints on dust not touched for decades. The 4 astronauts, 2 men, 2 women, became heroes overnight. For the first few weeks, everything went according to plan. The habitat was set up. Communication with Earth was crisp and clear. Instruments were deployed, and the groundwork for the permanent base took shape. They were pioneers, trailblazers forging humanity's next great step. Then they found the cave. At first, it was just another geological anomaly, something to be catalogued, explored, studied. A deep crevice at the base of a small crater, hidden by shadows that the sun barely touched. Their lights cut through the darkness, revealing smooth walls that were too perfect, too deliberate. Natural formations did not look like this. Dr. Sarah Kessler, the team's geologist, was the first to step inside. Behind her, Commander Roy Harris followed, scanning the walls with a trembling hand. The deeper they went, the more the cave revealed itself. Metal surfaces, strange markings, a sense of wrongness that none of them could articulate. And then they found it. A giant form lay dormant in the cavern, its surface covered in dust and time. At first, they thought it was a statue, something carved by an ancient, long-dead race. But as they drew closer, the detail sharpened. This was no carving. This was something built. A machine, impossibly large, its massive limbs sprawled across the chamber, its head tilted slightly downward, like a sleeping giant. A robot. Dr. Kessler touched its surface. The moment her gloved hand made contact, the entire cave trembled. Lights flickered to life along the robot's body, ancient systems roaring back from their eons-long slumber. A deep, guttural sound filled the cavern. Not a noise, but a presence. Something that had been waiting. Something that had just been disturbed. They ran. By the time they reached the surface, alarms were blaring in the habitat. The lunar ground beneath them vibrated. The dust swirled in weightless plumes as something enormous pulled itself free from the cave. The world was still watching. Across Earth, screens flickered, showing the impossible. A 100-meter tall machine, its body an amalgamation of smooth, alien metal and intricate, unknowable designs, rising against the lunar horizon. It turned toward the base. 2 glowing eyes burned in its massive head, and then it moved. The robot strode forward, crushing lunar soil beneath feet that had not walked in millennia. A single swipe of its arm obliterated the habitat, reducing weeks of work to debris in an instant. Earth watched in stunned silence as their dream of a moon colony turned to fire and ruin. The astronauts had no choice. They scrambled into the emergency pod. The ascent module fired, rocketing them away as the destruction continued below. As they broke lunar orbit, gasping for breath, a voice crackled through their radio. Not a human voice, something older, something patient. Earth belongs to you. The moon belongs to me. Don't ever come back, or I'll wake up the others. The signal cut. The silence of space pressed in around them. Back on Earth, the celebration had turned to horror. The footage was analysed, debated, questioned. Some wanted to go back, to fight, to understand. Others said it was a warning that must be heeded. For the first time in centuries, mankind looked up at the moon with fear, not wonder. And since that day, humanity has tempered its intergalactic ambitions,